In a small village called Maviso, beneath the wide African sky and the golden sun of South Africa, a child was born in 1918 who would one day shake the foundations of injustice. His name was Rolihlahla Mandela, known to the world as Nelson Mandela. In the language of his people, Rolihlahla meant troublemaker. History would prove the name prophetic. Mandela was born into the Vambu royal family, raised with stories of African pride, leadership, and dignity. As a boy, he listened carefully to the elders who gathered beneath the trees to discuss justice and community. Those early lessons planted a powerful seed in his heart, a belief that leadership meant serving the people. But South Africa was a divided land. A cruel system called apartheid ruled the nation, separating people by race, denying basic rights to the black majority, and enforcing injustice through fear and violence. As Mandela grew into a young man, he could not ignore the suffering around him. At the University of Fort Hare and later in Johannesburg, Mandela discovered both education and resistance. He met Walter Sisulu, a Kiminter, and later formed a powerful alliance with Oliver Tambo. Together, they joined the African National Congress, ANC, determined to challenge apartheid. Mandela was charismatic, fearless, and disciplined. In 1952, he helped lead the Defiance campaign, encouraging peaceful resistance against unjust laws. He became a national symbol of hope, but also a target of the government. Arrests, harassment, and surveillance followed. As the apartheid regime grew more brutal, Mandela faced a difficult moral crossroads. After the Sharperville massacre in 1960, where peaceful protesters were killed, Mandela concluded that peaceful protest alone was no longer enough. He helped establish Umkhonto we Sizwe Spear of the Nation, the armed wing of the ANC, focused on sabotage against government installations, not civilians. In 1962, Mandela was arrested. 2 years later, during the famous Rivonia trial, he stood before the court and delivered words that would echo through history. I've cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die. The sentence came swiftly. Life, imprisonment. Mandela was sent to Robben Island, a harsh prison surrounded by cold ocean waters. For 27 years, he endured hard labor in limestone quarries, isolation, and humiliation. Many believed his story had ended there, but prison became his greatest transformation. Instead of bitterness, Mandela chose discipline. Instead of hatred, he chose reflection. He studied law, strengthened his mind, and even learned the language of his oppressor Afrikaans, so that one day he could negotiate with them. He became a quiet leader among prisoners, earning respect from both inmates and guards. The turning point came not with his arrest but with his decision to forgive. As the world outside demanded his release, Mandela understood something profound. South Africa would never be free through revenge. If he walked out of prison filled with anger, he would still be imprisoned in his heart. In 1990, after 27 years, the prison gates opened. Mandela walked into the sunlight not as a broken man, but as a symbol of resilience. The world watched in awe. Instead of calling for retaliation, he called for reconciliation. He met with President F.W. de Klerk, his former enemy, and together they negotiated the peaceful end of apartheid. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic election. Millions stood in line for hours to vote. Nelson Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. One of the most powerful cinematic moments of his leadership came during the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Rugby had long symbolized white South African pride. Mandela shocked the world by wearing the national team's jersey and publicly supporting them, uniting a divided nation through sport. In that moment, he proved that forgiveness could be stronger than fear. Mandela served only one presidential term, choosing to step down voluntarily, demonstrating that true leadership is not about power, but about legacy. He passed away in 2013, but his spirit lives on in every fight for justice. The lesson of his story, Nelson Mandela's life, teaches us that greatness is not born from comfort, but from courage. The true turning point in his life was not prison, it was his choice to forgive and reconcile rather than hate and divide. He showed the world that freedom begins in the mind, that suffering can shape strength, and that even after 27 years in darkness, a person can still walk toward the light. Mandela's journey was more than a political struggle, it was a human victory. And in the end, the troublemaker from Mvizo did not destroy his country. E rebuilt Italiano.